We are back. Here I am, Fly Navarro, and today, special round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Who do I have? Mr. Charlie Levine. Charlie, give everybody a big welcome and tell them who you are and what you do.
Wow, Fly Navarro. Here we are. What do I do? I'm pretty much a writer. That's what I'm known for. I've been running fishing magazines and websites and writing stories for since the early 2000s. So that's mostly my gig. Things are changing right now, but that's pretty much where I built my name.
It's becoming a digital world, but let's let everybody know where you and I connected was you were my editor at Marlin Magazine when I had my first actually that wasn't my first, that was my second column. My first column was in the Bite.
Okay.
And then you and Dave reached out to me and said, "Oh, you know how to write?" And I'm like, "Would you think I was an illiterate motherfucker?"
Well.
So then
Can
you
we
guys offered me a column, and then that's where
you
we got a chance to meet.
That's right. Yep. And you were still with the real tight, right? At that
Cor
time?
Correct. I was with the Real Type.
Okay. Yeah, we were always on the hunt for good, in-depth how to, when, where, all that kind of stuff. People up on the scene who were out traveling and it was hard to be everywhere at every time back in the day. And
Yeah,
so
that was well before social media or camera
the good
phones or
old days, buddy. Back when we
yeah.
had big fat expense budgets and traveling the world and putting out 200-page magazines, that was the height of the whole legacy print publishing world was then. Little did we know at the time, but it was definitely the height.
Wow, come to think about it, the way you describe it like that, it really was the height. It was
Oh, dude, there were times we put out issues that generated $1 million in ad revenue, one issue.
wow.
hmm So,
Man, that's a lot.
yeah, I mean, all from the sales team, really, but you can't, the way you can't have advertising without good content. So it was always hand in hand. But yeah, we were crushing it. This was, also a big part of it back then were all the brokerage ads. Remember, you'd get pages and pages in the back of the magazine of just boats for sale.
That
Because,
makes
like you
sense.
said, the internet was around, but it
It
wasn't
was the
anything like
infancy,
it.
man.
Yeah, people weren't, Boat Trader and all those sites weren't really doing what they do now.
Yeah, if you think about even back then we had dial up.
Oh yeah, and if you were out traveling, you'd have to like go to an internet cafe or something on your day off or
Oh my God. Yeah. Back then, 2000, I had just moved back from Venezuela. And the only way I could actually, no, that's not true. I had one of the first computers that we can connect. I was connecting to AOL dial-up.
Mm.
That was,
Yeah,
man,
and now just the other day I was sea trialing a 23-foot center console and it had Starlink.
really.
Yeah, because they've got it figured out, man. It's like no hardware. It's just a tiny little flat square gizmo you mount on the hard top. It's not like the giant Intellian units, the sat domes. That stuff's going out.
I remember we had a sat dome on the real type back then, and that we got no data off it. It was just phone calls.
Yeah, and it probably cost a bloody fortune.
It was, oh my gosh, like 375,
hmm
390 a
You
minute
guys
to talk.
calling all those 1-900 numbers, I'm sure, because you were on the seas and lonely.
Oh no, no, we just talk to each other, man. No,
Yeah.
Christ, I think,
Everything's changing, but it is what it is. You gotta adjust or you get left in the dust.
yeah, no, it's listen, and everybody now is what do they call it? Citizen journalism. I know I scroll through social media and everybody's got a cell phone, everybody's got a story.
Yeah.
There's all
It is
kinds of
true.
stuff.
It is true. But the kind of stories that I really like to like sit down and read for a long time, you know. Like phone, I think people are getting phone fatigue. You know, we're scrolling faster and faster. We don't read anything from start to finish. It's like I've really made a concerted effort to try to spend more time, you know, off of my phone these days.
I,
Yeah,
I
I'm
know
still on it a lot, but
I know a lot of people that are like that. They're trying to get off the phone and listen, it's one of the things that I enjoy when I go fishing. Unless somebody tells me they've got Starlink, or better yet, sometimes I just no, I want to be away for 10 hours. I like it, you
oh
know.
yeah, it's an escape. It's always been an escape, you know. And back in the day, I can remember fishing with my dad, and he would have to like check in with the office over the VHF. You know, you'd call the marine operator, and then she would make a phone call, and that's how he used to have to check in. And I'm
It's
sure that was expensive too.
it's crazy when you think about how things have changed. I remember Whiskey Michael Oscar, which was the marine operator on the sideband through Miami, the Miami switchboard to make a phone call.
Yeah. And then you'd be like, what was this $200 phone
What
call?
the hell? Well, I had to check in,
Yep.
or worse yet, we'll go fishing once I get this call. And
Hmm.
you have to sit at your desk and wait all day long. And
Yeah.
finally it'd come in at like 2, and it's like, why bother?
No, listen, I love my phone for the ease of, you know, the camera probably mostly. That's been so great. You can just capture everything and have it. And, you know, whether or not you ever go back and look at it again is a different story, but that part's cool. And I mean, all the different weather services and, you know, my God. But when it comes to actually, you know, look, I'm a reader. I've written books. I've, you know, been working in magazines my whole adult life. Um, so when I actually want to like read a real story, I would prefer to do it in print.
Okay. I'm because of all the time I've spent on boats, one of the things I love to do is and anybody that knows me, they know I love to talk.
No, really?
I absolutely love to talk. And, I had started this podcast during COVID because now I'm not traveling. So I started it and I enjoyed it. I got all the technologies. And with some new stuff that we got coming out, I'm like, this is a perfect time to relaunch it. And I've literally, even though I'm on the computer all day long, I've been able to catch up with some of my greatest friends over the last since the new year, where I spend an hour, 2 hours chatting what's going on,
Yeah.
sharing stories. Yesterday, I talked with Josh. Literally, he was telling me about that grander they caught last year in Cape Verde, and I'm bouncing in my chair. I'm literally bouncing in my chair. I was so excited to hear his story. So, um, I I want to share it with people. For me, sitting and reading is not as easy as listening to it on somebody talking as I drive.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I love that stuff too. And same, you know, when I was the editor of Angler's Journal, we started a podcast because I just started recording interviews. You know, when I was writing a story, I would record the interview, and now with AI, you can transcribe it in like 2 seconds, and it's a great tool for writers. You don't have to take as detailed notes, or you don't have to be like, oh crap, is that exactly what he said? You know, it's all there on the recording. And then I was like, well, geez, I mean, I got myself a podcast here because and it was cool. And I think it's good for posterity too. There's some great podcasts that are just capturing all these great fishing stories or interesting people. And, you know, that way history doesn't forget us, you know. It's important that we keep those stories out there because there are some great stories,
oh
especially in
my,
our little world.
oh my gosh. I have just over the years, the amount of stories that I've heard on the back of the boat where people, oh, that lure. Let me tell you a story about that lure when I was in Australia or when I was in Madeira. One of my favorites, and I don't want to mess it up. Um, but just very briefly, I had Stuart Campbell on the back of the boat. And he was telling me about a story that he was in Australia up in the tower with Brazaka, and he saw a really big fish swimming down the wave. And he runs down to get to the bait, and one of the smaller fish, it was one big fish and two little fish on either side, and one of the little fish peeled off and ate the bait. So they hooked the fish, they started fighting. Brazaka kept an eye on it, and as it got closer and closer, Brazaka was watching it, and he's watching the other fish. He's like, she's still there. Hurry up and catch this fish. Hurry up and catch this fish. And then as this fish got closer, he goes, I lost it, but I know which direction she went. And they got the fish just close enough. And he goes, you know what, boys? Gaff her. They gaffed her. It was like 11 and change. She was one of the
Wait,
small.
the
Yeah.
small one was 11 and change?
Yeah. It was a great
Jesus
fucking story,
Christ.
man.
Holy crap. That's like swimming with dinosaurs. That's
I
big.
know.
Wow.
That's,
I've
you
seen a
know,
few big ones, but I can't imagine what that looked like.
well, it's one of those things when you say that was a small one.
God.
And,
Because,
and and especially coming from somebody like Stewart.
yeah, he's seen a few.
Shit, he went swimming with one for Christ's sakes.
It's such a crazy thing when you see an animal that big in the wild doing its thing. I don't know. The first time I ever saw a really, really big marlin in the water, I just was like I was just in shock. I was holding a camera and I couldn't even take a picture. I was just like, holy shit.
It's
They're insane.
it's cool. Where were you when you first saw it?
I spent 2 weeks on the reef with Tim Richardson back, oh, when was that? Maybe like,
The 1900s?
no.
I just wanted to say that, by the way. Just
No, when was it? I think maybe like 2015 or something around there.
okay,
And we had one incredible week and then we had one really tough week. And the
really.
incredible week, we caught three. Well, we hooked three that he said were over 1,000 pounds. And each one of them, I got some incredible photos of, man, but they each popped off or spit the hook or something happened. And then I actually ended up catching the biggest one of that trip on a lure too, trolling lures, and he called it 650.
Okay,
So,
that's not bad.
and guess how long it took to catch that fish?
10
Which
minutes.
not even.
Really?
Which had nothing to do with me, man. He just was freaking all over that thing.
Sometimes they just make a mistake.
It just
It
was like
happens.
windshield washing or windshield, just swishing
Wait a
that
second. How
bill up
was that
on.
again? How was it again?
And he just freaking zipped right over to that thing, and we had it beside the boat and got some cool photos, and then, let it swim
That's
away.
I love Australia. I was supposed to go down this past year. I got an invite to go for 10 days and I couldn't get away. I couldn't get away.
What's it like these days? I know it was like shut down for a while. It seems like, I mean, how was the
They had a
season?
good season. I talked to Timmy Dean right after the season, and it was pretty good. They're getting ready for their 60th anniversary of, I think, Lizard Island. So
Okay.
it's a pretty big year. They invited me to go back down for that as well.
Yeah.
I think it just overlaps with my tuna season, so I can't really.
The coolest thing, I mean, obviously the big fish and the big baits and the big tackle, it's all just huge, but I loved, just dropping the hook inside the reef and hanging out
Camping
at
out.
night and seeing what shows up in the lights at night. And we would bust out the fly rod and just play around with all these weird little jacks, and other boats would raft up. And it was like camping almost. It was just
That's exactly what it is. It's camping.
glorified camping, hanging out, cooking, drinking, talking crap. It was, and then, I like the leisurely hours too, where you don't like, you're not fishing till like 11 in the morning, really. You
Yeah,
would
no,
maybe go
it's
out and catch bait, which are those giant scaly mackerel and stuff. But It was just I really dug it, man. The whole experience was so
Uh,
cool.
Australia's cool. I recommend anybody. Actually, the guys that invited me, they were talking about going, and I'm like, here, this is a guy I fished with. Give him a shout. With Spera, and he
Oh
just
yeah.
he's a funny dude, man. I like
He's
Spera.
a character too. Yeah, you listen to these guys on the radio all day and it's entertaining. It is really fun. And I was not an angler really. I was there riding along, shooting photos, and the only reason I caught that one fish was because the guys who were charters, they were like, "All right, Charlie, you've been fun. Come on down. You catch one. Your turn. You catch one." And then I caught the biggest fish of the trip, and they were kind of pissed.
Son of a bitch, we gave it away.
But I'm telling you, man, it had nothing to do with me. Like in the watching those crews, I mean, God, they're
It's a lot
so
of hard
talented.
work, man.
Oh yeah, between all the bait prep and the bait rigging and I mean, just all day they were nonstop working.
Yeah, it's a long day, man.
Yeah.
It's a long day. I
They
hand it
have
to them.
fun. You got to be a young man, I think, to work the pit in one of those situations. But
Very 100%.
and you're just getting
100%.
cooked, like you're getting cooked by the sun and the elements all day.
Man, that sun off Australia is no joke. Supposedly that's where the hole in the ozone layer was down there. I don't know
Okay.
if it's still open or not, but um, I would stay up in the tower with Spare all day long.
Yeah.
And in my life, I had never had my legs peel so often. It was like
You're like
every
a
day was
snake.
like pulling wallpaper off.
I lived on the bridge. Timmy would run the boat from the tower. And then
He wouldn't
whenever
let you up
we,
in the tower?
oh, I mean, yeah, I could, but the bridge was just easier for shooting. You had a lot more room and less things to get in the way of your photos and stuff.
Fair enough.
And then, but when we hooked a nice fish, he would come down and fight it from the fly bridge.
Okay.
And it was great, man. It was funny. They had all these weird little like lucky charms and funny sayings. And Tim is like a huge Simpsons fan. So he had like every Simpsons episode in the world, and we would watch Simpsons all night and then quote Simpsons and Homer all day. And it was a good time. And we had this one charter from hell, bro. This woman called me. What did she call me? It was a man and his wife from Texas, older, and they showed up, and the weather turned bad. Everything just turned bad. It was like they brought the dark cloud with them, and we had this running joke about wombats. Do you know what a wombat is?
I know the lure or the animal.
I actually have one here because Timmy sent this to me or bought it for me before I went home. This is my little wombat.
Yeah, it's your baby wombat.
This was from that trip. But we were calling ourselves like Team Wombat, and a wombat's this Australian critter, and it's kind of like a rodent or something, but it takes square turds. And I don't know why, but it's like it takes like Minecraft square turds.
That is fucking hilarious.
And so we were joking about that. And I said, and we're all sitting in the salon, and this guy and his wife are like sitting in the dinette, eating or something. And I said, "Do you think its pecker is square too?" That's what I said. I didn't say anything worse than pecker. I didn't say, there's a lot of other words I could have used there. And she
Uh,
stood up and she said, "You are the most disgusting, foul human being I've ever met in my life." This was like the first day of a 4-day charter. And she goes in the stateroom and slams the door. And we're all like, oh boy. And yeah, so it just kind of went downhill from there.
oh no.
Yeah, so then, and Timmy was like, "Dude, you didn't do anything wrong. She's on a boat with a bunch of fishermen. Like,
Dudes,
what did
yeah.
she really expect? You didn't insult her." And I apologized to the husband, and she hardly came out of that stateroom for like 3 or 4 days, dude. She just hung out down there. And the fishing, it went from like red hot and beautiful weather. It was the calmest weather anyone had ever seen on the reef, and yet we were still catching fish. You know, normally it's good. They like when those trade winds kick up and it gets kind of salty out
Gnarly.
there. So then all of a sudden we're fishing in 8 foot seas and it's raining and I think we caught one fish in like 3 or 4 days. And then, yeah, I was pretty happy to get off the boat. But it was weird. They ended up giving me a tip still. So I don't know.
They gave you a tip?
Yeah.
Was it square?
It was rectangle.
Ah, that is so funny. Oh my God.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
because you said pecker.
Just because I said pecker, which I don't really view pecker as a foul word. I
No.
mean, I have 2 young boys, and if they said pecker, I would probably just laugh.
That's all.
But
Yeah. Wives usually get upset over something like that, but not husbands. My boy.
so it was something, man. I got to see a little bit of the charter life. Those guys deal with
Man,
a lot of different people.
charter life is tough, man.
Yeah.
Charter life is tough because you only get paid when you're out fishing and you only have so many days. So you take as many as you possibly can,
Yeah, and
back to back to back to back.
my dad had a 40-foot sport fish growing up. I grew up in Connecticut, and he had his 6 pack license, and he wasn't really a charter captain. He would run a few trips a year. It was more the like romance of it all to call himself a captain, and I think it was a big write-off for the boat.
It's a business, it's a tax
Yeah,
write-off.
it was more of a tax thing. So I went on a few trips with him when I was like 10 or 12, pretty young, and he would just yell at me the whole time. Charlie, stop catching the fish. Charlie, you're not allowed to, you need to give the rod give it to him. What? No, no, no. Da da da. And he had this thing. My dad used to wear a pinky ring. He's kind of like had that Italian look about him. And he would wrap his ring on either the steering wheel or the tower leg.
To get your attention.
Oh yeah, that's when I'd be like, I'd have to look up and be like, all right, what now?
You
And
know who else was like that? Peter Wright.
oh, I could believe it. I could believe it.
Peter Wright, he came fishing with us on the Real Tight, and you hear clink, 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 clink. Hey, there's some weed on. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here, man?
Oh yeah,
What the
it worked.
rest his soul. Rest his
I
soul.
love.
He was a funny dude, man.
I never got to fish with Peter. I worked with him for 9 years at Marlin. He wrote so many good stories for us and taught me so much about boats and fish and engines. And I mean, he was really an engineer. He knew
He
his
was
stuff.
amazing.
But I never got to actually, I went on a few sea trials and I saw him make a guy from Hatteras like shit his pants.
Did he really?
Oh my God. Brand new boat. And this was, back in the heyday of Hatteras and all those builders and Bertram and stuff, you know. And Peter just freaking like you should have seen the clouds of smoke as he was backing up and spinning and doing all this stuff. And this guy was like, it's, you gotta, we're still in the break-in period here. Can you please? It was pretty awesome.
Oh my God. Well, Peter was very, very opinionated. And
No.
so we were in Los Sueños at a Marlin U. So we're sitting in the pool. We got back in from fishing. We're sitting in the pool. Peter's on one side and uh, Charles Perry's on the other, and they're talking back and forth. And then I can't even remember what the whole thing they were arguing about, with drag pressure or
Yeah.
line breaking strength or whatever. And Peter kept trying to get me into the middle of this conversation. Now, mind you, uh, Peter's like 25 years older than me, and Charles is like 20 years older than me. So, this was maybe 10 years ago. So I have no business, no matter how much experience I have no business being in the middle of that conversation. Uh,
No.
I was smart enough to know exactly what they were saying, and I was also smart enough to know I had no business talking. I need to listen. Well, but
Okay. That
Peter
must have been
wa-
very hard for you, Fly.
Actually, with those two, it really wasn't, man. It really wasn't because, again, you've been able, and anybody who's been able to be around those two, the amount of knowledge and the amount of not just fish, but big fish caught between those guys.
Sure.
Uh, I didn't want to talk. I wanted to listen. I wanted to take in the knowledge, and I didn't even want to give 2 cents. Shit, I didn't even want to give a cent. But Peter wanted to win an argument. He didn't mind. He didn't give a shit about my 2 cents. He just wanted to, right, Fly? Uh,
You're like, what?
what? No, 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 no. So I would literally, because we're in the pool, so I would kind of get away from in between those two, and somehow Peter would kind of circle around me and try to put me in the middle again. I'm
You
like,
were like, yeah, that's what he would do to fish too.
yeah, he would just circle around you until you had to say something. And I'm like, I know what he's doing here. Uh-uh. No way. I'm not being, I don't want to be a
Yeah.
part of this conversation.
No, I certainly I can remember, I'd be in my office and then my phone would ring and I would look and see Peter's phone number and I'd be like, "Oh boy, this is going to be at least an hour." Because I would edit his copy. So here I am, a guy who's caught like, five fish in his freaking life, and now I'm editing Peter B. Wright, best captain living at the time. And I would change shit and sometimes he would get really ticked off and we would talk it out and he'd let me explain my side and we would usually compromise or whatever. And I think I earned his respect that way. He was always cool. I'd be like, look, I'm not professing to know all this stuff. I just know how to make a story sound good, and that's all I'm trying to do. And sometimes I remember there was this one thing about, well, I don't remember what he was talking about, but he kept using the term foot-pounds of torque, and which is some measurement that engineers use. And the normal people are like, what? That doesn't sound right, you know? And
Yeah, no,
so
no,
I
I get
made
it.
some change and I guess I screwed up the meaning of it or something. And so he called me super fired up and I'm like, all right, we'll change it back. We'll change it back. Just please, stop.
Stop beating me.
But he was also good. Yes, he did like to debate things.
Oh,
But he could admit when he
when he
was
was
not.
wrong.
Yeah, and that, a lot of people don't do that. Um, the one I can remember in a similar situation, standing by and just watching, was him and Tread Barta going at it.
Oh, that is uh a fast moving object and an immovable force or something, however that saying goes.
Yeah, that was those two guys did not like each other.
Oh my gosh.
And we worked with both of them. I don't think Tread ever did much in Marlin Magazine. He had the back page of Sport Fishing Magazine. And
That
same
was
deal. Like
that was the
Tread
part of
was,
the that was part of the same umbrella, wasn't it?
yeah. So
Okay.
at the time when I was first hired there, it was World Publications and it was owned by a guy named Terry Snow. And they started sport fishing and I want to, gosh, I don't even know, sometime in the 90s. And it grew pretty big. And then they bought Marlin, which at one point was really just a newsletter based in Pensacola. And they made Marlin what it is. And then there's been a couple, and then World Publications got bought out by Bonnier, and that's who owns Marlin to this
Yeah.
day. Um, but yeah, so Tread wrote a lot of boat reviews and stories, and he was really opinionated. And they were like the same guy, but it was fun to watch those two sharks circling each other, and it was pretty funny.
Oh my God, it had to be classic.
I never
It really
saw
had to
them
be
like
classic.
face to face, but I would hear, Tread say like, "Oh my God, did you see what this was?" And I'd just be like, "Oh, okay." And then Peter in the other ear, "Oh my God, that freaking." It was entertaining.
And the fact that they would listen, I because I nowadays that everything's online, I post stuff and sometimes I'll watch the comments, but a lot of times I don't want to. I
No,
I
dude, I stopped looking at comments.
I don't want whatever.
The biggest thing, so as part of my job, I would write a lot of boat reviews,
Uh-huh.
which is fun. I'm a boat nerd. I love the design. I love everything about boats. I love the functionality. I love the way they look. I love center consoles. I love custom boat. I just love boats. I could sit and just walk docks and stare at boats. I just think they're awesome. So, but as part of that, I would have to do walkthrough videos a lot, So you go through a boat. Hey, look at this, look at that. Oh my God, check this out. Here's the gyro. Here's the sonar. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you post them on YouTube, and some of the people get really freaking salty.
Oh,
And you're like, dude, I'm just opening hatches and like talking about boats. Calm down.
they're just
Uh,
mad. They're mad at life, man.
well, and the truth of the matter is, like, you used to often hear people say you never read a bad boat review, and the underlying pretense being that the majority of our advertisers are boat builders. So you don't want to write a really nasty boat review about one of your advertisers because they're like a business partner, right? You guys are in it together. So that's what they would say. But over the last decade, I mean, God, boats have gotten so much better. It's nothing like what it used to be. Like there used to be a million little things you would see that you could harp on. Um, but today's boats are just, I mean, they're freaking
The
remarkable.
technology's amazing.
The technology, the materials, the craftsmanship, um, the design, the innovation. Yeah, it's fun. I love it.
When I got back from Hawaii, I had three different boat brokers reach out to me. Man, you have such a great contact list. Why don't you become a broker? And I gave them all the same answer. I says, man, I'm not a boat person. I'm a fisherman. To me, the boat is no different than a fishing rod. If I could catch a blue marlin off the rocks, I'd catch a blue marlin off the rocks. I just want to catch a blue marlin. I love the boats. Don't get me wrong. I can fix them. I can run them. I can do whatever it needs to do. But like you said, like, when you just talked about you're a boat person, you love it. You're a boat nerd. Uh,
Mhm.
I love boats. I can look at a boat. I'm like, man, that's a beautiful boat. And you start paying attention to why they do certain things.
Yeah.
But again, if I could get a Cuban yo-yo and catch a blue marlin off the rocks, ha! I'd
Might pull you in on a yo-yo, buddy.
Hey man, that's my roots. Those are my roots. I get back to
Yeah.
my roots. Pull me in. I'm like the old man in the sea. Well, now I'm the old man in the sea.
Yeah, you got a little gray in the beard.
Yeah, man, my girlfriend sent me a picture. We were somewhere on vacation. I think it was Christmas vacation. And I'm like, no wonder my friends used to tease me about actually, do you remember Alberto Sanchez from Venezuela? Do you-
I know the name. Yeah, he was the mate, right? He
He
showed
was the
up.
mate for Cow Patty back in the day.
Okay.
I
But
was,
I mean, and then he was in Costa Rica all the time. He
oh
worked
yeah,
with Dave Noling, right?
exactly. He was
Okay.
with Dave. So I was docked next to him during the San Juan International Tournament, and I was running the caramba. So I get down, and he goes, "Fly, come over here. I got a question for you." This is all in Spanish, and I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" He goes, "How long have you been painting your beard?" Because in Spanish, it's not dyeing; it's called painting. And he goes, "How long have you been painting your beard?" I'm like, I don't paint my beard. He goes, there's no fucking way you have no gray hairs. And
He was gray pretty early
oh
as a
my
young guy.
God, from the moment I met him, from the moment I met him, he had like a couple and then poof, he turned white.
Yeah.
But he's like, you're not much younger than me. I think he's like 5 years older than me. And I always tease him and I tease all my friends. I said, I've never been married and I have no children. That's why I have no gray hair.
Well, throw
But
that out the window.
yeah, now if I, well, fuck, I'm also
Oh,
52
I'm
years
like all gray, dude. It's all going gray. I have to
old.
shave because it comes in pure white and it makes me sad.
Come on, man. You're like Santa Claus.
No.
You're like Santa Claus. Now,
Not yet.
going back, I don't think when you were the editor for Marlin, you edited my shit. I never complained, did I?
I don't remember.
The only thing I remember, if there was red marker pen available, it would be all over my shit because I'm like, I didn't write this, man. No, I would never complain. You always made me sound good.
Yeah,
You
well, that's the
always,
job, right? And
yeah,
some people get really testy about it. And when I was younger, I didn't like some edits done to my stuff, but then you realize like, all right, look, we're just trying to make things better. It's not and sometimes, man, I've had to send so many stories back to people and just been like, this isn't what we asked for. This is crazy. I told you to write 2,000 words. You sent me 10,000. Like that kind of stuff has happened so often. And it's gotten competitive. There's not that many outlets left. And so, as an editor, you can be very much more selective on what gets in and who you work with and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, and that's how you learn, right? It's like you see the changes, you make the changes, you start thinking, whatever. I mean, it's like anything else. It's like fishing. If you have some young deckhand on your boat, you're gonna show him the ropes and point out all the mistakes he makes and
100%. Listen, I learned a lot between you and Dave. I learned a lot,
good.
you know. And what you've taught me, I still bring with me. I suck as a writer. Uh,
Well, I'm glad
I'm a
I
good talker, but putting my thoughts to paper, I think the words in my brain go too fast, and I still hunt and peck. I'm up to these three fingers though.
All right. Well, there you go. That was
Uh,
six fingers, buddy.
well, three and three. Actually, it's two fingers and two, or it's four fingers and two thumbs, man.
It's I always tell people, sorry, my dog is here. People
Man,
can
give it.
hear
You
him.
got to give some love to the dog. What's your dog's name?
Nico, I'm gonna take his collar off because he's so he doesn't make a bunch of noise.
It's you're all good. I couldn't hear him anyway.
Um, I always would tell people just write the story the way you would tell someone sitting next to you at a bar or something like that. It's just too many people try to get really fancy with the language. It's like they grab a thesaurus and they're like, oh, I'm gonna pull out my inner Hemingway. And it's just then you kind of lose your voice. You gotta be true to your voice and tell it the way you want to tell it. Sometimes people bury the lead, meaning they don't really know where the real hook of the story is. So as an editor, I would do a lot of reorganizing and move something from the end to the beginning and, whatever.
My biggest thing is I'd overthink things. Whereas, when you're telling a story, I look at it very similar to like telling a joke. You're you gotta you gotta build up to the punchline. And sometimes with writing, it's tough. It's tough for me. So I just kind of make it a word salad, and you guys would kind of move a
Yeah.
little this, move a little that.
That's it. It's a
And next,
team.
next thing you know, my God, I didn't realize Fly was so well spoken. No,
Yeah. Wow, you're such a great writer. And then you know what you say? Thank you. That's all you got to say.
no,
Thanks.
it's my editors. It's Charlie and Dave, man. Those guys make me look good. I'm just a diamond in the rough.
Yep,
Actually,
exactly.
really, I'm just a piece of coal. You made me look like a diamond.
Oh gosh. No, it was fun and you were always on the move, so it was helpful for us to have, someone reporting from St. Thomas and Bermuda or wherever that or wherever the heck
Yeah,
you
no, that's we were going to St. Thomas and Bermuda and Costa Rica and Panama. We did a trip to Venezuela. I remember Venezuela, we got kicked out. Hold on a second. We didn't get kicked out. What it was is they wouldn't let Jim back then, they wouldn't let Jim's plane stay there. For whatever reason, I don't know, but he needed his plane to always be there
Okay.
because of his health. So we were down there for like 3 weeks, and fuel was so cheap.
Yeah.
He's like, "Go fishing," and we did. I mean, back then fuel was like, I don't know, 19 cents a gallon. So to
Was it
fill
good fuel though, or was it crappy fuel?
it had a lot of sulfur in it. It had a lot of sulfur in it, but shit, at 19
I
cents a
know.
gallon,
Fill up your 1,000 gallons for
we
for
we we
less than
got
$100.
it was when we got there from St. Thomas. That boat held 3,600 gallons. Now we didn't
Jeez.
use all 3,600 gallons. I can't remember how much we burned. Maybe like 22 or 2,300 gallons. And I'm just guesstimating here, but it was $189 to fill
That
up.
is insane.
180, and it was like we talked amongst us, Joe and Porkchop and myself. We're like, you know what? If we're still down here for Boss's birthday, maybe we'll buy fuel for him.
We'll cover you the whole time we're in Venezuela, boss. Our treat.
Listen, we weren't that.
Yeah, because
It
I mean,
was.
what would it cost you to fill 3,000 gallons now? 20 grand, 15 grand?
Oh my God, something like that.
Yeah,
Something. Shit, beer was more expensive
right.
back in the day. I remember we'd go into the supermarket or into the gas station, and with $2 you can fill the car and buy a 6 pack.
I missed all that. I never got to go to Venezuela.
Oh, really?
That
Yeah, it
was the
was.
one place where Farrell would just drop the trump card and be like, "No, I go there. You can go to, you could go
I
to
don't even.
freaking Biloxi or something."
I wasn't going to throw a city out because I didn't want to throw anybody under the bus. But yeah, Venezuela was. Oh my God, it was like Nat Geo.
And he would always fish with Dave and Tammy, and they caught fish, man, and they had a lot of fun. That's all I know.
I listen. I remember the first time I went fishing with Dave Nolan. I'm a young kid. I'm like 22 years old, and he's talking to. I, I'm trying to remember if it was with Full Metal Ed or with Billy. One way or another. I think it was Full Metal Ed. We weren't fishing, so Dave's like, "Hey man, Rhino can't fish. He broke his hand. Can you fish with me the next 2 days?" I'm like, "Oh my God, absolutely! I get to fish with the Dave Nolan, cow patty." By that time, I think he was on his third captain of the year. Almost, he's getting ready to hit his fourth one. And the year before, he went through that 7 day stretch where he caught 49 blue marlins in 7 days. And I'm like, man, I get to fish with Dave. So I get down to the boat early, and next thing you know, I'm there rigging baits and getting the rods ready with, I think it was Alberto Sanchez. And next thing you know, uh, Gibby was with us too. He was there
Oh
taking
yeah,
photos that day.
Richard was always on there.
Yeah, Gibby was there that day. And next thing you know, he opens the door and he goes, "Hey guys, come on in. We got a team meeting." I'm like, I get to be part of a team meeting? I feel so fucking honored. And I walk in and there's 8 beers lined up on the counter. He goes, "All right, boys, lucky cold one."
Yeah, he was the Dave Nolan. First time I went out with him was at Los Sueños, and they won back-to-back tournaments there. And it was, I think the first thing he ever said to me was, "Charlie, do you know what a Texas breakfast is?" And I was like, no. And he handed me a beer, and he was like, "Here you go." I think that was the first thing he ever said to me.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Dude, there were some characters down. There was man, listen, we had
There still
characters all
is.
over
There
the
still is.
place.
Yeah.
I I'm fishing the OWC this year and I get to fish with Bubba Carter.
Oh, cool.
And you want to talk about another character? I was so excited. It's like, hey Bubba, you got these days available? Yeah. I'm like, can I charter you? And
Nice.
so and I got all my friends from Saudi Arabia coming, and I'm like, hey, Bubba Carter, you mind, are you guys good if we charter? They're like, Bubba Carter. I'm like, yeah. I can't wait to tell them the story. We rode out Hurricane Debbie in Mandel Bay and St. Tom. Hurricane Debbie at the time, this was, I think, 1999. Hurricane Debbie was doing like 22 knots, category one storm. Not a very strong storm, but she was so fast. I was on the topless with Billy. We did 18 knots, so we couldn't get away. So it's
Mm.
like, fuck it, we'll just ride it out in Mendel Bay. Our generator wasn't working at the time. So it's Billy, Randy, and myself. So what we were doing was we were swimming back and forth. We'd sleep on our boat, but we'd hang out on Bubba's boat on the Tiaretta. You're in this little bay, a little mangrove. Shit, Rhino Mertens?
No.
Rhino was 14 years old. He's riding a kayak. His dad's Don Merton smoking a cigar. The Prowler was there. Frankie Branch was there. Oh my,
So
I'll
you
never.
guys were just like anchored up, tied
We're
up
just
right
anchored
there.
up, spread lines everywhere like a web.
Yeah.
First bad thing to happen, Frankie Branch went, I think it was Frankie Branch, went down under his boat, got something wrapped around his wheel, cut his arm. Bubba Carter's like, hey, listen, I can suture you up. I got Novocaine, I got sutures, but I don't have a syringe to shoot you up. So he's like, you know what? I'll go back to the pharmacy. So he swims back to shore, jumps on somebody's paddleboard, goes to
With
the.
an open wound.
No, 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 no. Frankie Branch had the open wound.
Oh.
Bubba Carter swims back to go get some syringes at the pharmacy. So he's covered in mud. Now, by this time, it's starting to blow. It's raining a little bit. And it was, I cannot repeat the story as well as him. But he goes, I walked in there. I'm covered in all this muck from the mangroves. And the pharmacist says, we can only give syringes to doctors. Are you a doctor? And
Yes.
he looks all the way down himself, covered in mud, looks back up. He goes, yes, I am. And they're like, okay, here's some syringes. So he comes all the way back to the boat. They shoot up Frankie Branch. He stitches him up. We never shave anything. Just a bunch of dumb fishermen. We're all hanging out, telling stories, blowing. And I think it was the next day when the storm really came in, and we're hanging out on Bubba's boat watching movies. There's like eight of us, and I got to pee. So I had an old Bacardi hat from the Bacardi tournament on, and I had it on backwards. And as I'm taking a leak, the wind catches my hat and blows it overboard. And it was my favorite hat. And mind you, water's maybe 10 foot deep. We're not talking, and it's not a very big little lagoon. And I can't remember if it was Arturo or Nick Ewald. And so I strip down butt ass naked and I jump in the water to go get my favorite hat, blowing like 70 knots. And like I said, I think it was Nick. He yells, "Man overboard! Man overboard!" Everybody comes. Oh, Jeff Cummings was there. Everybody was there. Oh no, not Jeff Cummings. Jeff Garrison was there. Everybody was there. We just had. It was a good old fashioned hurricane party.
Wow.
Yeah, just
Was there any damage? Did you guys
no,
survive?
no. Nothing. Nothing. I think the worst of it blew like 80 knots. It's like a Florida afternoon thunderstorm.
Yeah, we had one of those rip through here this weekend.
You got a piece of that cold front that came through.
Yeah, I was trying to help out some friends of mine doing a photo shoot on Sunday. They were doing a crappie. They're from Berkeley. So they
Okay.
were like, and their boat that they were supposed to use, I don't know. They needed a boat, so I called everybody I knew, finally found them some bass boat, and they go out there and then it started out of nowhere. It started blowing like 50 within like no warning. It was, Anyway,
Yeah, the heavy stuff's not coming down for quite some time,
no.
like Caddyshack.
Yeah. No, living in Florida is weird. I never meant to live here, man. I still don't know how I feel about living in Florida.
Come on, man. We're the greatest state around. Where would you, do you want to be up in Connecticut?
No, no. That's the thing. I don't know where I want to be. It's
You know,
just
you
the
know where home
summers are
is?
brutal, especially
Oh,
in Orlando. It's just freaking awful.
it's, I, you know what? I can't argue with you on that.
August in Orlando, like just people don't come here. I mean, everybody comes here. I stay away from all that business down, the Disney stuff if I can. Don't just you don't want to be here.
Not
I
in
always see these
August.
people at ICAST in July in Orlando. I don't know how many people are like, "You live here?" I'm like, shut up.
Listen, ICAST July is pretty brutal too.
It's awful. And then, you get caught walking to your car and in a torrential downpour.
That
And
lasts for
you're
like 10 minutes.
Yeah, you're soaked through your socks. I get it. I get it. But so backing up, World Publications was based in Orlando, in Winter Park, Florida.
Okay.
So I, at the time, was working for a magazine called The Fisherman magazine in Connecticut. They had I'm sure some people listening to this know The Fisherman, but they had a Long Island edition, a Jersey edition, and a New England edition. And I got hired to be the editor of the New England edition, and wasn't a great fit. I won't go into it too much, but I was ready because it was a weekly. This is definitely before the internet. We used to write fishing reports. So we'd call every bait shop, tackle shop, every charter. I'd spend all Sunday calling people, what's biting? Okay, where are you going? What are you using? Da, da, da. And we would put out these weekly fishing reports. It was just total drudgery. It was just the worst. Talking to these old charter guys, and they would lie. They were always lying. You would catch them in these lies because they were like, they just wanted people to call them and book them.
Yeah.
So they would either lie and tell you the fishing was great when it was awful, or when the fishing was really good, they were afraid that the word would get out and some other dude would snake their spot. So they would lie about that too. So we were just publishing all this nonsense. And then Doug Olander was the editor of Sport Fishing for many, many years. And he hired me to be associate editor, I think, at Sport Fishing.
Okay.
And my father had relocated to Florida. My father always wanted to live in Florida. My father hates Connecticut. He loves the sun. He's like one of those people who just worships, can just sit there and cook in the sun and be like, "Isn't this great?"
A
You
stick
know?
of butter.
Yeah, just sit there, read a book, and just cook. And I'd be like bored out of my mind. And he would just be like, "Isn't this the best?" So he had relocated to Florida. And I had gone to college in Colorado and ended up back in Connecticut. And yeah, I was like, all right, I'll go to Florida. I'm going to give it 1 year. And that was in like 2002, I want to say.
Okay.
And then I'm still here. Met my wife, and
Get
I love
married,
I
have a
love our
couple
friends. I
kids.
love our little life. I'm just come August, I'm like, I want out. Let's get out.
Why don't you go somewhere in August? Get out.
We do usually, yeah.
Okay. That's what I do.
I
I
would
go
love to
fishing.
have like a place in Nashville or somewhere where it's not, some elevation. Get off this damn pancake and
I
get.
get it.
But
I,
it's
I,
worked out. It's definitely got its perks. I mean, you can fish all year, buddy.
that's the great thing about Florida when, because I do a lot of stuff with different governments and we talk about the amount of money that's spent on fishing in the US and the amount of money that's spent in Florida. And they're like, oh my God, Florida has that much. It's like, whoa, whoa, time out a second. You need to understand that Florida has 12 months out of the year that people are fishing. We
Yeah.
do not have an off season.
Well, no, and there's so much diversity too. If you mix in fresh, salt, flats,
Inshore,
and
yeah.
yeah, there's Absolutely.
There's so much stuff.
And that is the cool part. Is always something to do. You're not stuck in the house. It's I dig that. I definitely dig that. There's lots of things I love about Florida.
Yeah. Not the traffic.
No, I mean I have my little bubble. You know, I don't generally leave like the 5 mile radius unless I'm driving to South Florida.
I have like a 2 mile, when I'm home, I have like a 2 mile radius.
Yeah.
I just, honestly, I try to go to Publix every day. They know me. They're like, oh, you're getting away from the computer. Yeah. Yeah, I'm
No,
getting away
it's
from the
true.
computer.
Yeah, it's like you got your bank, your pharmacy, your whatever is all like, and then after
My
that,
my bank is in the same parking lot as Publix.
perfect. Same here.
Yeah, my pharmacy's in Publix. When I really want to stretch my legs out, I go to Home Depot.
Oh goodness. Wow.
That's
Big
that
day.
who I just
We're getting
so,
old, dude. Listen to us.
no, I think here's the best part. I go to when I go to Home Depot, it's not like I go to build shit. It's the garden. I started gardening 2 years ago. I got tomatoes, I've got pickling cukes, I've got peppers, red peppers, yellow peppers, Thai chili peppers, jalapeno peppers. And then my girlfriend makes fun of me because I go out there and I talk to them. Like I said, I like to talk. Hey, how you
You
doing
like to
today?
talk. Hey, girls.
How are you? Oh, you need some
I
fertilizer?
can see
I'll be
that.
right back.
That's funny. No, I like to garden. I do citrus, man. We got a bunch of trees around here.
No, that's in the front yard. Citrus in my front yard. What kind of citrus do you have?
I've got this really bitchin' ponderosa lemon tree.
Ooh,
It grows lemons as big as your head.
dude, that's a big fucking head,
It's
man.
every time I like post a picture, someone's like, "Is that a?" They look like you know what a palmetto is or a pomelo kind of thing.
No.
They're like as big as a cantaloupe, but they're lemons.
Wow.
So we got those. We got a couple other lemon trees. I got a huge mango tree.
Okay,
So
I love mangoes. All right, now do you have the nice firm ones or the little honey shaped ones?
we have those honey like yellow ones.
Yeah, okay.
And it's weird. You only get fruit every other year.
Hmm.
But when they come in, I mean, I'm like, you want some mangoes? And I'll give you like a box.
I
It's-
I
They
love
come
it.
in like crazy.
I love it. I have key lime. I have a kumquat. I got a red lime. Have you ever seen a red lime?
What?
A red lime.
I
Did you
lost
lose
you.
my audio? What happened? Output, input. How about now?
Oh, there you are.
Okay. I don't even know. Control Alt Delete, man. I just rebooted. I have a red lime tree,
I've
and
never
then
heard of those.
it looks like a lime, like a yellow Meyer lime, but when you cut it open, it's bright red.
Hmm.
And then the love of my life, I have a Japanese mandarin.
Wow.
Oh my
Times have
gosh.
changed. The love of your life is a mandarin tree.
Well, it was so funny because I was looking for a fourth citrus tree to plant, and this one caught my attention because it said Japanese. Because I spent so much time in Japan, I'm like, oh, I need this.
That's cool.
I need this. So, and it's bug resistant. And as you know,
Yeah, that's a
citrus
not my
bugs are
running
the
battle.
fucking worst here.
Yeah.
So, now that we talked about our little gardens, after you left Marlin, you went out to the West Coast, or you stayed at home, but you did some work out in the West Coast.
I did. Yep. I
You,
worked for Bloody Decks,
yeah.
the big website. At the time, they were wanting to go more mainstream and have sort of an online magazine. So yeah, I didn't work there that long though. I think I was
How
only
long was it?
there
Like 18 months?
probably. Yeah, that
Uh,
sounds about right. Maybe even a little less.
you actually dragged me out there with you. I don't know if you remember that.
You were writing for us then?
Yeah. You reached out
Okay.
to me and asked me if I would write for you, and I did.
Oh, cool. That's
Because
right.
because you asked me.
Oh, you're so sweet.
No, fuck, you made me look good, man. I I listen,
They
I
needed the help, and they've done a lot with that brand. I mean,
no, they've done
Ollie,
really
the
well.
guy who, yeah, I haven't stayed in touch with him, but I know he had a TV show for a while, and
He
he said,
still does.
yeah,
He still
local
has a
knowledge.
TV show. They still have a presence out west. Well, first when I went ran that boat out in Hawaii, they had a really good presence in Hawaii, but they have a really good presence up and down the West Coast. And I put
Yeah.
on I, I'm the tournament director for a albacore tournament out of Westport, Washington.
Oh, nice.
So I go out there every year. It's a fundraiser for the military. We get a bunch of military guys out fishing and hunting all year long, but the Washington Tuna Classic is kind of like
Hmm.
the coup de grace. So I see how much of a presence Bloody
Yeah,
Decks.
those stickers, man. They so many stickers and t-shirts everywhere.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So they have a very big presence, and everybody, hey, I heard about your tournament on BD Outdoors.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You know, you go up to Westport, it's no different than walking down the dock here in Palm Beach during sailfish season. You see everybody, and everybody knows everybody now. After, I think this is my fifth year going out there.
That's cool. That's a nice area. SoCal was really, they were based in San Diego and it was just blowing up. I mean, I used to get like 6 million visitors a month or something when I was there.
Wow.
It was pretty big. It was big. And so they were trying to get a little bit more mainstream and bring in some of the higher dollar advertisers and they did it. They built a thing and then for a brief period there they worked some deal. They took over the Catalina Classic tournament on Catalina Island
Uh-huh.
and that was cool. It was pretty neat. I don't think those events even exist anymore, but that's really such a pivotal place in the annals of sport fishing history, Catalina Island and the Tuna Club. And it's a unique, different place coming from Florida and the East Coast. I mean, it's everything is different. The boats look different, the
The
way they
tackle is
fish.
different.
Yeah, they're like throwing live mackerel at billfish on the surface, and it was really cool to be involved and learn and meet a lot of these people. The Steve Lasleys and Beak and some of these other famous captains out there. Got to know all those guys. So yeah, that was fun and expanded the network. It's sort of just all about meeting more people and getting out there. And then after that, I went to Fish Track.
Oh, I forgot about Fish Track.
Yeah, so we were doing that. Grew that. That was actually it started to kick ass. So Fish Track, I'm sure a lot of you guys offshore fish know, finding temperature breaks and color breaks and all that stuff is key. So Fish Track provided all that data, and we also had a lot of how-to content. I probably bought some stories from you for that too.
Probably. I love the how-tos.
That, yes, you're good at that stuff, and you were still mating a lot then, I think. So you were good. You were getting pictures on the boat and rigging stuff and getting creative.
By that time, I think we even had camera phones. So it
Oh,
wasn't
for
like
sure, for sure.
so it wasn't like this you know, the camera phones weren't what they are today. But you didn't have to have a big old giant clumsy 35 millimeter and get it
Yeah.
developed. I never got into that. I did get into the DSLRs.
Well, you always had Kerrigan rolling around with you, so you didn't have to.
My God, we had so much fun with Scotty. I want to get him on here to talk. He he's a great character. What a nice
Scott
guy.
Kerrigan, one of the best photographers, especially through that time period. He's so organized. I could call
Uh,
him and be like, I need a picture of a wahoo with a Yozuri Marauder taken off the port side of the boat during midday. And he'd be like, give me 5 minutes. And then he
would
would he
would
would
you like
send you
that
like
in
all these images.
would you like that in fisheye or telephoto lens?
He was so organized.
He
So,
was unbelievable.
and I still bump into him here and there. He's still doing it.
Yeah, no, no. It's funny. And the reason why I thought about reaching out to him is because when all this stuff happened in Venezuela on January 3rd, he's now publishing like a picture a day of
I saw
Venezuela. And it's
back in the
like,
day.
oh, this is cool, man. This
That's
is
got to be
so
a
cool.
hot topic in your world.
I don't even, I can't even scratch the surface with the amount of topics and conversations and people calling me. It's been ridiculous. It really has.
Yeah.
I even,
You're gonna start a tournament there next week?
I don't want to say no comment, but it's definitely not going to be next week. Man, there's a long way to go. I,
Yeah.
ironically, I was fishing the following week. I was fishing with Mike Samuels on his boat for the Derby. His deckhand is Venezuelan. He was down in Venezuela for Christmas holidays when it happened.
Yikes.
So I fished the first day. I wasn't going to fish the second day, but he told me Richard was coming, and I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah, no, no, I want to see Richard. So I saw him in the morning. I gave him a big hug. I'm like, man, congratulations. You got to be so excited. He goes, you fucking told me. You told me. Because I had seen him in November, and when they were doing all this drug boats, I'm like, man, there's more to this. I'm like, hey, man, it looks like you're going to get a new president soon. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And by the time I saw him, he's like, you told me we were going to get a new president. And I'm like, well, you still got a long way to go. He goes, oh yeah. And I asked him, I go, would you, your English is good enough. You want to get a couple guys and jump on the podcast? We could talk about it. He goes, I, I can't talk publicly. We can't.
Yeah, I don't know what it is even remotely like down there on being on the street, but I would imagine the fishing world is just as soon as it's safe and open, yeah, boats will be back there in a heartbeat.
Oh my gosh, way in a heartbeat. Way, way in a heartbeat. But it's got to be safe and it's got to be cleaned up and it's not close to safe. Listen, all they did was they took out one guy. They took out the president and now they got to have elections and they got to reform everything and but here's the thing. Once once it opens up, if it opens up, I guess the biggest thing we can talk about is at least now there's a chance of it opening up where last month
No.
there was a lot of guys I talked to. I'm never going to see it. Now there's a chance you may see it. So if I do something, you want to come down?
If it's safe, I mean, now that I've got kids and stuff, I travel a little differently, but yeah, if it's all,
Oh,
well, I
man,
mean,
listen. I agree with you. I
if it
agree
was
with
all
you.
on the up and up, and yeah, I would love to go. I'm curious, there's got to still be boats there. There's got to be
Oh
some
no,
local guys
no, no,
fishing.
no. There's still boats, and every once in a while you'll see a report come out of there. I know Hook on Billfish reports. Every once in a while, somebody send him a report, and you can see the boats in the marina. So yeah, no, no, there's still boats. It's just, um, and listen, I get a phone call. There's a guy that I get a phone call from every year that invites me to a tournament in November, and I always tell him no because I felt unsafe.
Yeah,
I,
I don't blame you.
I feel unsafe, but now I wouldn't go today.
No, or maybe even next year, but I think if it all smooths out and is groovy, then yeah, I would love to. Is that
Ah.
shit that Sheridan's long gone, right? Is
Oh
that
my God, that Sheridan. So that
mudslides got it or
the mudslide wiped it out and it never opened up after.
okay.
Yeah.
That
That
was like
was
the spot, right? Richard Gibson had his tournament there and
ooh, yeah, man. That was the spot. That you went there every night. The Sheridan Makuto.
now the
A-
Makuto.
And
It's been in Marlin a million times, but like I said, I never got to go.
it was, it was ironic because it was the mudslides that got my riding career started. Because we were the first boat ever back after the mudslides. And
Okay.
by that time, Dale, Sandra, and myself had launched in the bite. So I had my column in the bite, and I would just write stories of the mudslide. What was happening, who survived, who didn't survive, saying goodbye to some of our friends. And
Yeah,
uh,
that was a bad deal.
oh, I remember Billy and I went back. We had to fly back in to get all of our tackle out of our apartment. And we drove by the presidential palace. It was a three-story building. The only thing that you can see was the flagpole on top of the building. All
Jeez.
three stories were under mud. We got to Caraballera, which was the town where the marina is. And from our apartment, you can look into the town and you can see where they pushed the mud out. And the mud was like 10 feet high on the side of the road. Yeah, it was bad, man. I saw a lot of people pulling bodies out, and I say bodies. They'd cover it up, and you see that what they're pulling out, and it's covered in a sheet, and then it's something that sticks with me to this day. You know,
Yeah, that's intense.
it was crazy. But we went back. That happened in December of '99, and we were back by I think end of February. Billy, Randy, and myself, we went back and we just had to move the boat from Caraballera to Puerto Viejo, and we based out of there. So it was killer. It was way killer.
Hmm.
You
Well,
know,
that'll be a fun one to watch. We'll see what happens.
we'll keep an eye on it. So, and then what do you got on the go next? What are we doing?
So right now I am working for myself. After a nice stint at Angler's Journal as the editor-in-chief there, which was great. That was probably the dream job. But the magazine closed last year, so I just went into business for myself and I'm doing a lot of freelance writing and I'm working for a lot of companies as their content specialist, helping their marketing teams, that kind of stuff. So what I saw, or I guess everybody saw, is that more and more boat builders, engine makers, electronics, fishing tackle, they've all pulled back their print budgets over the years, their advertising budgets, and started investing in creating their own content. So now I'm working with them, working with a boat builder. I mean, this is all really new. So this just happened at the end of last year. And yeah, things are good. Things are cool. It's fun.
With the ever-changing landscape of content distribution, um, and I'm asking this question a little bit on the side of because I this is what my business was or is the digital process, the social media, the distribution of it. Um, and there is a place there for somebody like yourself. I don't know if it's a Substack or something along those lines to get your content out there. Have you tried to formulate a social media plan or uh, putting out
Well,
what you got?
I'm not trying to do it like that's not really my goal right now is to have like the Charlie Levine media planet.
Empire? Okay.
No. So I launched a company called, well, actually, I started an LLC like 10 years ago. Do you remember when I had a food blog called Meat Tooth?
Oh yeah, I forgot all about that.
Yeah, so me and my wife, who's also a writer, started this food blog. Instead of a sweet tooth, we have a meat tooth. It was all about burgers and barbecue and steak. And I wish we had stuck to it because I think we were kind of onto something. But so I started an LLC when we had that going, and I just kept it. And no, so I'm really more of an agency now. To me, that's the way I'm happier going. I don't want to try to build my own brand. I'd rather work with existing brands and help them.
Okay.
And I wouldn't mind trying to write a book. I did write one book, called Sucked Dry. The Struggle is Real.
Come
Did I
on, what was
ever,
it about?
I never gave you a copy of my book?
No.
Oh my gosh. I need to. I published it in 2007 or something.
Okay.
It's about a rich kid who loses his dad and gets all this money and basically goes on like a world tour fishing around the world and gets into a lot of shenanigans and big fish and women and booze and, usual. It's
Oh,
hilarious.
love it. Well,
But
I'll make you a deal. I'll trade you your book for my book.
okay.
I published
Yeah.
my first book in 2020.
I remember that. I remember that. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was like it's very travel, right? Isn't it like a travel guide or something?
No, what it was is I was helping somebody out with a book. They wanted to interview me, so they interviewed me, and the publicist is like, "Oh my God, you have the greatest stories. Why don't we write about a book about you?" I go, "Nope." I go, "First of all, I'm not done. Second of all, I personally don't think it's that interesting. But if you really want a book, I'd rather publish something about my industry." So I wrote a book about the top 60 tournaments in North America.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, this one was more fiction. It's kind of like a Carl Hyacin-esque type character,
Okay.
um, named Parker McPhee, and he gets himself in and there's a few stories in there that are, loosely inspired by real things that may or may not have happened, or people I met on the circuit, and this and that. There's some funny stuff.
That's
There,
cool.
there's a whole chapter about New Zealand. I spent some time sword fishing in New Zealand with that inspired that chapter. So yeah, it's a fun one, and I have some ideas for another book. Which I mean, God, there's no money in that stuff. So if I did it, it would just be sort of um, because I wanted to do it, kind of thing. And also my wife wrote a screenplay, and we made the film. I really enjoyed that process, so I'm probably going to do some more film. I actually just last year launched a film about fishing the St. Johns River here in Orlando, and it was just selected by the Fly Fishing Film Tour to be included in the 2026 Fly Fishing Tour.
Bravo, man.
Yeah, yeah, and we won an award from the Orlando Film Festival for it. So I definitely am still scratching the creative itch, just in a lot of different ways. And I've gotten to meet so many freaking talented artists. And it's fun. I really like working with those teams and those groups, and it's inspiring. And so there's definitely going to be some more of that down the road. The guys I made the St. John's film with, we're working on a concept for our next film, which is basically going to trace tarpon fishing here in Florida back to the very first tarpon ever caught on fly, which happened right in the Stewart area. And
That's a cool story.
yeah, so this guy, John Cave, he's my fly fishing casting instructor. He's kind of a Flip palette sort of a guy. He's just not that well known as Flip, but he's done a ton of stuff, and he's very into history, especially fly fishing history. And you go to his house, he lives in the woods outside of Orlando. He's got a great property, and his house is like a little fly fishing museum. He collects all kinds of books and antique tackle, and you'll go over there and he'll be out in his yard with like a bamboo fly rod from the early 1900s casting in his little pond, like he's just a super interesting, smart guy. And it was his idea, and so we're kind of putting together the scope and synopsis for that project. And the hard part with those things is just getting it funded. So that's usually my role. Like Ian Sasso is the director. He's the one who shot and directed our first film, and he's just got the eye, man. He's such a good cinematographer. I'll send you a link
Okay.
this to the movie we did on the St. John's. It's much, a lot of the stuff you see on Instagram and YouTube, it's amazing. And some of these, I mean, people are getting such cool content, but we shot this one more as like a documentary style, so it's a little slower. It's not like real punchy with a lot of music and crazy edits. It's kind of more of a story, which
Mm.
is what we were doing at Angler's Journal, and that was really the goal, was to take that style of storytelling to film. So I'd like to continue doing that. And there's some companies out there, especially in the fly fishing space, who really get it. And, if you do it well and you put this film out and it gets selected by a couple of festivals and you get, a couple 100,000 views on YouTube, I mean, it's a viable marketing product, even though it's not really about your product.
It's telling a story.
Well, that's at the end of the day, that's what it's all, everything's story driven. Everything we do is story driven. Whether you're on your phone or you're in a, you know, it's all about telling a story. Or you're listening to a podcast or you're watching something on YouTube or any of it. So, and that's, listen, that's what I excel at and I get off on is, finding those cool stories about maybe somebody who's a little under the radar, and just kind of digging into it and making something special. So Catch Fire Communications, we're going to help brands do that. And, like I said, I'm still freelance writing for magazines, when I can, and I still enjoy that. And we'll see what the next chapter holds.
I,
But I
I,
think the
I
bulk
like
of it's
that.
going to be through the marketing stuff.
I like the story that you're talking about with the tarp and first one caught on fly. First of all, anybody that goes fly fishing, it's not about catching the fish, it's about the process.
Yeah, it's really different, and I've gotten into it in the last few years. I mean, I've fly fished for quite a while, but I don't know. There's something about it's like hunting with a bow as opposed to a rifle. It's kind of that
One,
mentality.
100%. It's about being, last year I went to Patagonia. I
Oh,
went fly
really?
fishing. Oh my God. I
I would love to
absolutely,
do that. I
oh,
would
I
love
had
to do
such a ball. I had such
that.
a ball. I bought,
Trout fishing's entirely like alien to me, and it's so cool when you're in the mountains and you're in the rivers and
there's
yeah,
snow all around. And
yeah.
I'm so used to hearing engines. All
Yes,
you're
none of
hearing is
that.
all you hear is water rolling.
Water, maybe some bird song or whatever. It's
Oh,
a special thing, and we were talking about fishing as an escape. And I think for me anyway, fly fishing where you're really putting yourself in the environment because you got to get closer to the fish.
yeah.
And you got to sneak up on the fish, whether you're wading or you're in a boat or, in a river. And so it is. And then you got to imitate, whatever they're eating with some feathers and yarn or whatever. Um, so it's definitely, it's cool. It's just something special about it. And I view it like golf or chess, you can always get better. It's really, I get in my own head a lot. If I start sucking, I get like I'm like a 2-year old and I pitch a little fit and then everything just falls apart. So it's also taught me like how to kind of control, the thoughts in your head and the emotion and just slow down, slow down. I always hear that's what John always says to me, Charlie, just slow down,
Slow down.
relax, relax.
Yeah, don't force it.
You-
Don't force it.
I have a tendency I get kind of like if I see the fish, my knees start knocking, I get tense, and that's when you're more prone to make mistakes. It's really hard for me. Some people, like the Michael Jordans of the world, they thrive on those situations, right? They're like,
Yeah.
no, coach, I want the ball. I want to take the last shot. I would be the kid who'd be like, please don't throw me the ball. I don't want to mess it up.
I don't
That
want that pressure. I don't
That
know.
was me growing up. I mean, I was never really great at sports because of not team sports. I was good at individual sports like, downhill skiing and tennis and stuff. But I didn't want to screw up. And that kind of messed me up.
Yeah,
And fly fishing has really taught me to just like fight that back and just enjoy the whole process. And then even if you miss the fish, like that's part of the process. And
exactly.
you still have a story to tell.
Don't, who cares if you miss the fish? Whatever. Don't worry about it. There'll be another one.
We all care. We all care.
Yeah. I listen, and it's funny because you were talking about archery. I love to archery hunt. I like to hunt, period, but archery is my favorite. I got my bow right there, and in between calls, I'll go outside and I'll wing 6 arrows and then come back in. And the biggest reason why I like it is when I was gun hunting, you wait for that first deer to come out and you take a shot. But sometimes when you're with that bow, you got to wait for that deer to get closer. So
Yeah.
while you're waiting, you end up seeing a bunch of other deer. And before you know it, oh, because you waited an extra 15 minutes, you might see a much better deer. But at the
Hmm.
same time, that's 15 minutes of your heart going boom, 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 boom. And you start playing that in your head and man, slow everything down. What do I want to do? When
I
do I
can't hear
want?
you again.
Again, you lost me?
I don't
How
know.
about
I
now?
lost your audio.
How about now?
Is it me?
Maybe it's you. I
Oh,
I'm
okay.
showing
Now I hear
audio.
you again.
Okay.
I don't know. It
Is it
says my
your?
internet connection is unstable.
Oh no, I got good internet.
Sorry, dude.
No,
No, but
it's
I
all.
agree with you. It's very much about that. And you have to control yourself and your approach and all that
and
shit.
and breathe deep and okay, what do I want to do? Like you said, especially with fly fishing, where okay, this is what the wind's doing. What do I got to do? Let me be ready for it.
Yeah.
That's half the fun.
And I almost always still have a spinning rod just because there's days where I'm like, this damn, oh, this freaking wind's in my face. It's always windy in Florida, it seems like. Always.
Except when you go to ICAST.
It's always windy. And so, yeah, I've gotten much better, but there's still
Oh,
days where,
you just sent. Thank you. I see
yeah,
you just
check it
sent me the
out.
St. John. Oh yeah, no, I want to. If we're gonna start sharing stuff like that, which I owe this to somebody else, when I'll share with you when they interviewed me for the CNN shark stuff, with the whole shark depredation stuff going on.
Okay.
So yeah, if I
Was
don't
that
know if you're,
recent?
it's been within the last year.
Yeah. No, I've been following along with that, and it is a problem, man. I don't think there's any easy answers, but it is a problem.
There's, I don't
You
want to
want to
say
kill them, right? You want to get them
no,
out of the water.
no, 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 no. It's so funny you say that because so many people, even CNN, again, fucking media. Uh, and I was very, very at point about, listen, you're not going to make me look like a prince, and I'm okay with that. But it's not that I want them killed. I don't want them killed. I want them managed properly. That's all I want. There's been what the agency has done with them so far has been miraculous. There's been so many sharks that have rebounded that it's amazing. And the only problem is they've rebounded so well, they have not helped the U.S. commercial fishermen in helping them manage them. It's no different than, well, we don't have the problem here in Florida like they do like in Pennsylvania and in upstate New York where like white-tailed deer, when there's too many of them, they eat everything. They eat all your flowers, they eat all your fruit, they eat everything. And then the other issue you have is accidents. Here's something you may or may not know. You know who controls most of the deer bag limits in the middle of the country? Insurance companies. Because there's so many deer, they're getting hit by cars, and now the insurance company has to pay for it. So the pressure comes from insurance companies. Hey, man, we need to.
Open
that
this up.
we need to open this up a little bit.
That's weird.
So, in my conversations, I've been, Andrew Cox, correct?
Yeah.
So Andrew Cox was on HMS with me when I first got on HMS, highly migratory species, and they're responsible for creating the quotas and so on and so forth. And the quotas, they're like, oh, we're thinking of opening up more quota, but nobody is filling the quota. Nobody's going fishing for the sharks because there's no place to sell them. So it's a matter of creating a market, and there's been some laws passed that make it hard to sell sharks. So uh,
Well,
I
the
run.
reason I said you want to kill him is because I see you posting Mark the Shark shit.
Oh, you want to know why I postmark the shark shit?
Why?
Because it helps my algorithm.
That's why.
Facebook,
I've had
Instagram.
some run-ins with that guy that I'm not a huge fan.
I again, he is a personality in our industry, and uh, it's still my industry. I understand where when you look at the pictures, they're still very barbaric. The way the pictures are, very Roman Empire-esque, where oh look at the bloody
Big dead
shark.
shark.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
But it's
Uh,
not even that. It's like, I mean, he's a writer's dream because he gives you crazy quotes and he's like such a character. But I just don't always agree. I very rarely agree with anything he says, if I ever do. And just so I don't promote that guy.
yeah, no, fair enough. I just for me, the one of the best on my one company page on Instagram, the one picture, it was, and you can see the tag right in the back of the thresher shark. Somebody caught a small thresher, probably all of maybe 2.5 foot. Beautiful picture. I think they caught it down in New Zealand. And there was a tag right in the shoulder. They're getting ready to release it. And I posted it, and some environmentalists got a hold of it. And they went off on me, and I'm like, what's going on here? And then, this was years ago. This was, when I first started my company. And that's when I started realizing, I did the research, and the algorithm doesn't know if it's a negative or a positive comment. It just knows that it's a comment.
Well,
And
I guess that's never been my goal was to just go viral or any of that stuff.
well, it's not a matter of going viral. It's a matter of, hey man, this is part of the industry. I mean, what's the difference between that and a big blue marlin hanging?
I'm not a fan of that either, really.
Okay. You know, and here, listen, I spend a lot of money to be on the board of the Billfish Foundation. And I know, uh, there's, you look at, release tournaments, and release tournaments can usually go a certain level, and then they kind of level off because after a while, uh, there's certain things that just rise to the top consistently. But when there's a kill tournament, do you know why the White Marlin Open has 400 boats in it every year?
Yeah, because anyone can get lucky and hang a big fish and make a lot of money.
Exactly.
No, it's no secret.
And
Uh,
then that brings more people to our industry to look at it. And that brings more people that buy boats, and they buy magazines, and they buy fishing rods. I understand where you're coming from. And um,
I've never killed one. I've definitely not on purpose anyway. There was one black marlin in Puerto Vallarta that died, and I don't think I caught it. No, it was oh my God. Remember Pro Soft Lures?
oh, yeah,
It was Shannon.
I remember her and her mom and dad.
Yeah. Anyway, this fish freaking we put it in marlin. It like cowabungaed. It jumped, went upside down, hit the transom, and got the tuna door stop somehow right in its spine, killed it
Killed
dead,
it instantly. Wow.
instantly dead. But it's just look, and I get it. I totally get what you're saying. And I've
Yeah.
been involved with a lot of kill tournaments, and I know they're releasing the majority of the fish. And just personally, I'm not a huge fan. I don't,
I,
it's not
I,
what I'm into. I don't
Char-
kill billfish, and it's
I
not my
don't, I'm
thing.
not judging you one bit about it. Not, I,
No, but I'm sure somebody is, and that's fine.
well, here's what I have to say. Fuck them. Put a comment in. I don't care. Help my algorithm.
It's
Uh,
uh it's definitely and the shark thing too. That's that's an interesting one because it generates so many opinions on both sides.
so,
And as a journalist, you're trained to be neutral. You're supposed to, when you write a story, you're supposed to get quotes from both sides. That's what a good journalist is supposed to do. Do
and I
people really
appreciate
do
that.
that anymore? I don't.
No.
I mean, everything is kind of out the window these days, but that's generally what you're supposed to do. This one said that, this other one said this, and then you let the reader make his or her own decision.
Yeah.
So that's what but personally, um, I agree, man. There's hardly anywhere you can bottom fish off the east coast of Florida without sharks ruining your day.
And that's my concern is uh, it's a multifaceted concern,
Yeah.
which
I don't know what the answer is. And I don't think, and even people who profess to know what the answer is, you
I
won't
have
know until you try some things.
I have some suggestions,
Yeah.
which luckily for me, I
But the
sit on.
problem with opening up that fishery, even if there is a market, which there's a market for everything, even if it's cat food or whatever, somebody wants that fish. But the bycatch and, there's all these other things that have to be part of the equation.
This is my concern when I argue about this. This is my biggest concern. Right now, it's a fishery problem. We have to manage it properly, and we're not. So it's going to be a chain, and it's starting to become a chain reaction event. There are people that spend a lot of money to go to Florida or Hatteras or Oregon Inlet to go fill up, their quota of snapper, grouper, or go to Oregon Inlet to get tunas, and then you get to the point where you hook 10 tunas and you only catch two.
Yeah, I
And
don't disagree with that.
and then people, 1 year is not bad, 2 years not bad, but after 3 years, if I can't bring some fish home to my family, I'm not going to charter you anymore. I know of 4 boats that have left Florida because the sharks have gotten so bad. So once those charter boats leave, now the restaurants aren't going to get people, the hotels aren't going to get people, and it becomes a chain reaction
Well,
on
and it's not just
tourism.
offshore either. It's a problem
No,
in the flats. Lemon sharks are killing a ton of tarpon.
it's and that's my argument with a lot of people because listen, I've been very vocal about it for 10 years. Um, and people are like, oh, it's horrible here. Like I posted something on some clips on Facebook and oh, it's in the Gulf, it's horrible. In the Bahamas, it's horrible. And here listen, this is a North Atlantic problem. This is a North Atlantic problem.
Yeah.
And uh, m listen, my vocality is I want it to be taken care of in fisheries before it spills into tourism. I got notified that there is a senator that was proposing a bill to make it like an Amber Alert on their phone. And somebody gets bitten by a shark, boop, in this beach area, somebody got bitten by a shark today. If every cell phone got that,
Oh, then there'd be no one in the water.
see what I mean by a tourism problem? So,
Well, yes,
and
there is
and then
that.
what's going to happen? There's going to be somebody that's going to get bit
Oh,
that
I
it's
live the
it's
beaches
already
where I live, people get bit by black tips like every year.
yeah. So, but at some point, it's going to be somebody that is the son or daughter of, or the grandson or daughter of somebody very powerful, and they're going to say, wipe them all out. And that's what I don't want. I
That would
I do not want that.
My dad would call that constipated thinking. It's just because it's full of shit. I love that saying. But no, listen, I recognize the problem, and I've listened to some different suggestions, and even just a couple months ago, I went to the Bonefish Tarpon Trust Symposium,
Okay.
and they had a researcher put on a presentation about depredation in the flats, and that opened my eyes. I didn't realize how trained these sharks are now,
Yeah.
because what they're doing is they're tagging them and figuring out their habit, like their habits. So this one lemon shark was just like, some lemon sharks is they zip offshore to some reef or somewhere, but there's a whole group that basically live on these flats and they never really leave, and they're just whacking permit and tarpon like crazy. Um, and I didn't realize it was that big of a problem in the Everglades and Florida Keys and stuff. So, but did he have any? I guess the first step is gather the data, look at the data, and then formulate some suggestions, and then get more data on those suggestions and those practice. It's so like data driven, everything, that it does take time. And I agree, I don't want any like rash decision making. But I don't know what the answer is by any means. And I do recognize there is an issue.
Yeah. And my biggest thing is I get called on it a lot from all different avenues. It's not just fishermen. I get called from political people and different associations. You know, you talk about guys like me and you, which have big mouths, or at least I do. Uh, you know who has a big mouth? Somebody like the hotel association. And if they see a drop in people coming
Yeah.
over, that's a lot of pressure that can be applied to somebody. And again, I don't want, and I was just using that as an example. I'm not saying they're putting that on, but if they,
No, but I've seen the other side of it too. So I grew up in the 80s when Frank Mundus was this big popular guy, and my dad, so I talked about my dad having a charter business. The majority of the fishing we did was shark fishing at the Fingers and the Butter, all these
yeah,
places. And that fishery completely dwindled away to next to nothing. There was a few tournaments out of Montauk every year that were big tournaments, and lots of boats, lots of activity. And then the Makos, like you couldn't buy a Mako. They just sort of were fished out. And like no one wants to catch a blue shark, man. That's like I'd rather reel in a fucking 5 gallon bucket, but
but
that's
you're
all there
right.
was. And now I think those tournaments are done or they're paused or something.
They're done.
Yeah.
They're
So I've seen both sides of it.
yeah.
And everyone, because of the popularity of Jaws and all that, everyone wanted to go kill a shark.
And it's so funny because what happened was they demonized them so bad that everybody wanted to kill them. And now they've humanized them so much.
Yeah,
Like
but
when
there's no, that's one area though where there's like not really sharks like there used to be.
no, 100%. There's certain sharks that are making a comeback, but there's certain species like Mako is, they're not on the endangered species list, but they're completely shut down for both recreational and commercial, completely shut down, and they need to be.
And I will tell you what, there is no other shark that comes anywhere close to a mako when catching sharks.
Let me tell you this.
That is one of the most badass predators in the
I am
ocean.
more afraid of a Mako than I am of a great white.
Oh yeah, they're so. I've seen them. You're trolling those giant spreader bars up north. I saw one just out of nowhere attack that spreader bar from under and fly 10 feet in the air,
It's fucking killer,
and
man.
then like destroyed the whole spread. Thousands of dollars of plastic squids and just destroyed.
Have you ever seen which is cool on the troll? Have you ever seen a thresher on the troll?
Uh, we've caught them, but I don't remember catching them on the troll. They're
They
cool. I like thresher sharks.
they're so cool. I've caught two in my career, but both time night fishing for swords.
Okay.
But I've seen some videos where they come up and you see the tail, and the tail keeps trying to whack the lure.
Yeah, it's crazy. Same thing when you get them near the boat. You got to watch that tail.
Oh,
And we caught a poor beagle once. You ever seen a poor beagle? Those
I've
are
caught a couple of those.
no, like those are game fish. Blue sharks suck. Listen, if I never caught another shark in my whole life, I would be totally fine with that.
Yeah.
I
Hey,
would
listen,
I would totally be fine with that.
I love them. I absolutely love them. They are a creature of nature. I love watching them in the wild. My nephew, he's gonna be 4 next week. He absolutely I buy him sharks like crazy. There's two things he loves. Well, there's three. There's sharks, gators, and Uncle Fly. Uh
I thought one
which
of
is
them was going to be girls, but
no.
okay.
Oh, actually, little shithead. He's 4. The other day
Oh, that's a little
they
too young.
they they had cozy day at school. He went with his Spider-Man bathrobe, and he's walking around with his little boots on.
Like
And
Hugh
some
Hefner.
girl, yeah, oh, that's I sent his parent when his mom sent me the picture of it. I'm like, hey, he looks like Hugh Hefner. She didn't know who Hugh Hefner was, so, but he loves sharks. And I love to see that because I know somebody like that is going to protect the resource.
Yeah.
You have
No,
to
my kids
protect the
do too.
resource.
They're a very polarizing species.
They're so cool. They are very cool. What I'm concerned about is I just don't want it to get to the point where they become demonized again. Because right now, if you go online and you listen, you pay attention to fishermen talk about it,
Yeah. No,
um,
I know. I do.
they're very, very upset. And I like went, oh, kill them all. Whoa, 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 whoa. Stop. Stop. I don't want it to get to that point. We need to talk about this responsibly.
Yeah. Well,
So,
that's the hard part.
well, that's why you sometimes you just don't read the comments. You get some smart people together and you have a conversation.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully there is a sound solution in place. Have you talked to Ellen about it? I'm sure. I mean,
Listen, we pushed it hard. As part of our initiative back in 2025. It might have been 24, but I'm almost positive it was 25. Now this year, once Amendment 15 came out, that was something that we really pushed hard behind. Amendment 15 was looking to open up a couple of areas for long lining in the Florida Straits, more off the coast of it's part they consider it part of Florida Straits. It's more off the coast of Canaveral. There's a couple of areas that they were looking to reopen for sword fishing. And so that's something that we've really, just to keep the long lines out of there. Um, but
ay, ay, ay.
yeah, again, I plan, listen, I'm really, how well do you know Peter?
Peter Chai
Chaban,
Bongs.
yeah, Chabanzai.
I've hung out with Peter for years, mostly just like at industry things and stuff. But yeah, he's a good dude.
He's a great dude. Him and I we're very, very close. He joins me for a lot of that's where I kind of got into being a board member was, hey, I want to give you guys X amount of money for my tournaments. But I don't want to just give you the money. You got to be at the tournaments. You got to earn your key. And I don't mean putting him to work. I want to
Well, and
put
it's
you in.
also nice to know what they do with the money. That's whenever I do philanthropic endeavors, whether it's, I have a son with special needs and we give a lot. I want to know like what are you doing with it?
No, and that's fair. You want to know, and that's me being on the board.
Yeah.
I get to see where money goes. I get to see when money comes in, when money goes out. One of the things that I got on Peter really hard about this year or last year, so we fixed it this year. They've been doing a lot more satellite tags, and they would like for me to be at these events because a lot of them are filmed. And Fly, we'd like for you to narrate and so on, and I'll volunteer all my time. But the biggest issue I have is don't tell me 6 weeks before the event, you know? So him and 2 weeks ago, okay, let's jump on the calendar. When are we doing this? And
Yeah.
I rather you tell me block out 2 weeks and it's only going to be 3 days within this 2 weeks so that nobody books me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So right now we've got 5 different trips planned for satellite tagging between like the
That's
Gulf of
great. That's the
Mexico.
kind of data we need. I think the more we can understand about where these sharks are spawning and thriving and hitting them, curbing It just has to be done smart. And
Yeah.
with today's data, I think it may take time, but it's possible.
Well, there's a lot of cool things out there. There's a lot of cool things out there to make it interactive. And I've got a couple of ideas that I've talked to Peter about that I can do with my company because we're doing so much more IT work. Um, so I just want to get people introduced to our stuff,
Yeah, man.
get new fishermen out there. So on that, where can somebody find you?
I guess
Do you have a website for your company?
not really. I have a lot of stuff on LinkedIn about catch fire communications. I've been too busy working to really launch my own website. So that's something I need to do. But if you look me up, Charlie Levine on LinkedIn or social or any of that stuff, yeah, I'd be happy to help however I can. And good stories, good content rule the day, Fly.
Or reach
That's
out to
what
me and
matters
I'll put you in
most.
touch with Charlie. I'll start writing his name and number down in all the bathrooms and
There
up
you
and down the
go.
East Coast and maybe even at some airports.
All
So
right.
Charlie, if you would hold on right there for one moment. Everybody who's listening, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And Charlie, thank you so much. And I will check you guys later.